what you seeing with the Diddy trial is considered spiritual abuse. And you've heard me mention this before. Spiritual abuse is not noted in our vocabulary terminology system, in our thesauruses, okay? But I'm telling you, because it is a thing, but nobody has listed it, I'm calling it now. I'm the first person to call it to my knowledge. It is called spiritual abuse, and it is something that needs to be in place in law. So again, if there's attorneys or people on here who want to help me push that, to have that inducted into our English worldwide terminology. Worldwide terminology. Spiritual abuse. And I will put that all together for the world to understand. So that's considered a form of abuse too. And neglect. So you guys, that's what this video about. I'm going to give y'all girls the goods. I don't want you to be embarrassed at any kind of question you need to ask. I will answer it here. There is no judgment. And anyone that, you know, hears or sees things that may be vulnerable to someone on this channel and is disrespectful or not conducting themselves right, I will block you and put you off. Because I like my platform to be a safe space. I'm here to help. The Lord is working through me to help you, to help heal your soul, to help heal your spirit, to help heal that little girl or that little boy inside of you that was misused, abused, and exploited. Do you hear me? Okay. So you Christians, or you people who are claiming you're God's people, or you've accepted Christ or whatever, you should be praying for America right now, because we are seated in the belly of the beast. The demons are literally swirling in our atmosphere right now and seeking other places they can land. Demons are about to start seeking other places they can land, because Diddy and that ring of Hollywood entertainment is coming down, and people are going to die. People are going to disappear, and demons are swirling, looking to see where else they can land. So you better stay prayed up right now in a real way. You better know what's going to protect you from demons and evil spirits in a real way. And stop looking at it like it's entertainment and singing the demonic chants that it has you singing, like some of J.H. Lowe's songs, some of K Camp's songs, some of Kevin Gates' songs. Demons are swirling. Y'all let them Beyonce concerts and she doing all the Illuminati signs and swaying and all that, you know, and y'all just, ooh, did you see her outfit? Y'all like, ooh, Blue in trouble. Blue was born in a den. Are y'all praying for her while y'all looking at how well she dances? Because you looking with your natural carnal eye. Where's your spiritual eye? What do you see? I need y'all to wake up. Okay? So type in some questions down below, y'all, that you may have about men, relationships, tricky relationships, abusive relationships, relationships with, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, any of those kind of things. If you're stuck and they got you in your head and you don't know how to get them out of your head, you don't know how to think for yourself, type below questions and I'll answer them for you. Do you think we was the only one? You think Africa was the only continent that they went to and stole human beings to traffic? Do you think that kind of mindset and behavior stopped after slavery? Because who was checking them? Nobody was checking them. Because there was nobody to check them. They was the highest of the whole world. Who was going to check them? Besides God, who was going to check them? Who was going to check the white people, the elite white people? Who was going to check them? When they stepping on the Hispanics, they stepping on the Africans, they stepping on the Indians, they stepping on the Asians, they stepping on everybody. Who was going to check them? And not to make this a racial thing, but facts are facts. The only race you see doing that every other race agrees on, is Caucasian people. They have something that runs in their blood, in their spirit. And that ain't all Caucasian people. So don't take it that way. But the facts are facts. Who started that thing? Draw it back to the roots. And the roots was never plucked. God is not to be mocked. And I pray for everybody who got caught up in the foolishness. I pray for those who have stood up and tried to fight for what's right. I pray for those who need a repentant heart, who understand God but walked away from God. Because the word was running it so hard, it seemed like God moving too doggone slow. And you got to keep up with the flow if you want to survive on this, in North America, at least in North America. They keep you busy, real busy. And you'll hear other countries talk about it. Americans work 24/7. They don't even have time to think. They don't even have time to stop and take care of themselves. They don't even have time to, they ignore their own kids. Their kids getting caught up. Their kids confused. Other countries talk about America. We eat trash. Our bread lasts for 3 months. Why our bread lasts for 3 months and we eating it? On sandwiches? Eating it? Because the elites that run this place, that are trying to influence the world and convince us that we should accept anything and everything and just have sex with robots and animals and not know your identity. Oh, you're not African, you're not Indian, you're not black, you're not anything. You're not anything at all. You just do what you want and make sure it feels good and stay broke and keep making us money so we can keep stepping on you and feeding you lies and stealing your children and traffic them in our tunnels. Are y'all listening? Are you in a mindset of, ain't nothing I can do about it anyway? I can't do nothing about that. Is that mindset right there that gets kids killed, kidnapped, mistreated and abused? It's that mindset right there that keeps America looking the way it look. That we don't even know how to put qualified officials in office. It's that mindset of thinking that you can't do nothing, and you pray and ask the Lord what you're to do, who he's to connect you with, who you're supposed to partner with and collaborate with to make a difference in your community, your city, your state, your nation, your country, your world. Pray about that. Those who are involved in provoking you, Lord, to what we are now seeing in the state of California, those who are responsible for provoking you and mocking you, bring them into the true revelation of who you are. Just as the Pharaoh had to understand by the power and the miracles of what God did for the children of Israel, let the elites be humbled just as you humbled Pharaoh. Let them receive their just recompense just as the Pharaoh. And let your people walk out, Heavenly Father, with everything that was due to them through forced slavery, through forced beatings and murder, through forced deceptions, harsh working conditions, cold-heartedness, arrogance, pride. Let the due recompense be delivered unto them, and let your people be set free. Nobody paying attention to the kids? Read my book. That's the whole reason. And this is the timing of why my book came out. Now I see. I grew up in domestic violence. I grew up around pimps, hoes, prostitutes, drug dealers, mafia in Las Vegas. I grew up around all of that. Read my book. I watched cars blowing up. So that little Elon Musk car that blew up in front of the Trump Hotel in Vegas, that ain't new to me. It's strange to all them other people in Vegas who transported and from other states and countries and moved to Las Vegas who don't know the history of my city. But when you OG, Vegas born, that ain't new. If you was born in the 60s, 70s, 80s, lived there in the 90s. I grew up seeing that. I grew up around the mafia. Just like the people in Italy grew up around the mafia. Just like the people in New York City had to deal with the mafia. But Vegas was the mafia hub. Let's be clear. They dabbled in Cali, but they was hubbing in Vegas, baby. Fresh territory. I grew up around violence. So as you watch all my videos, and some of y'all might be confused why I don't carry myself what I call a fake mask or a uptight type of professional. I don't like faking. I like being who I am, authentically. And I even, there's so many people live in the matrix. They live asleep. I watched my own family more comfortable talking to a demon, listening to a demon that was trying to take my father out on the sly. A demon over a woman of God because I'm bold and I don't sugarcoat and I'm going to tell it like it is. But they can't handle the truth. They rather sit with a demon who's smiling and chuckling and giggling and handing out nice little gifts and Raider tickets and concert tickets and all smiling. They're more comfortable with a demon than a truth in the spirit of God that will divide righteously by the word of God. That's how majority of Americans are. They sleep. Trusting that the government, the government ain't running this. It's the elite that's snatching up our kids, traffic them in tunnels, torturing people, but nobody want to hear that. God sees what's hidden in the dark. And if you connected to God and you listening, he's going to put a burden on you for what he's looking at that's being done in the dark. Because he wants his people praying to stop it, to intervene in it, to do something about it. I hear what's going on in the dark. I can feel what's going on in the dark. Not because I live there, but because God sees it. And it's sickening to his stomach. And anytime that burden is placed on me and I have to hear it, I have to carry it. I have to cry over it. I have to pray over it. I have to deal with it. I'm going to tell y'all because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to feel it. I don't. So I'm going to say it. Get your life right. Because you're putting more work on me. And that might sound selfish. It really might sound. But working for the Lord ain't always easy. It's not. It's not. But if I'm finna tell you. That person over there is practicing witchcraft. That person over there is speaking nasty things over you and your family. That person over there just robbed that person over there. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not a snitch like that. I know the street code. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I'm finna be over there just blabbing. I'm not blabbing. But if it's from the Lord, and I know it ain't gonna lift off of me. If I don't do nothing and say that, it's not gonna lift off of me. And if you're a true believer and you walk in the spirit of God, you understand this. You already know. It don't lift until you move. And God gonna leave it there. until you move and do what you're supposed to do and say what you're supposed to say. And again, you can't listen to everybody. Everybody ain't got your blessing in hand. If I hold what God has given me and I don't do nothing with it, that stops my blessings. The things I've been praying for and asking God for, because there's a communication between me and him that I try to ignore and overlook. And because my family, friends, whoever don't understand where I'm coming from, I could give two, boop, boop. Because you ain't paying my bills. Ain't offered to, ain't called. Don't call on my birthday. Don't call me on Christmas. Didn't see you at church on Easter. You ain't did nothing for my kids. You don't do, but that family or whoever, then y'all talking about me. You're laughing. You got something to say. So why would I care? Why would you care about what your family, anybody else got to say? When you know where your help come from, you know where your blessings come from. You know. And that's the one you should be honoring and listening to. But for those who have been getting away for so long and thought it was all good, Allie Carter broke that thing down. She said there will be fires. Watch for it. She said it. She said Oprah was going to get arrested. She said Diddy was going down. The CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, she said it. So if y'all want to know what's really going on, y'all might as well quit looking at the politics and the president. It's the ones that's behind the closed doors, the victims, that is going to tell you the truth, what they did to me. Watching these kids die. Watching them treat them like they're toys and not human beings. It is better that a millstone be tied around your neck. It's about the children and the future generations of this earth. We are at the end times. I can confirm this because when I was 8 or 9 years old, I told you my grandmother was a general. But I would look at all her kids, my aunts, my dad. But I grew up in church, but I didn't have anybody helping me understand my thoughts, what I thought were thoughts. I didn't have anyone helping me understand what it looks like when God talks to you. It was, because I was a kid, and most people don't teach their kids like that. They don't talk and get in your head and figure out, is God talking to you, or teach you how, or teach you, they don't know, and I remember being in my grandma's house, looking down the hallway, and I was looking at one of my aunts, or two of them. And I started seeing that they weren't going to make it into heaven. Now, why would an 8-year-old kid be thinking that way? And I'm like, they're not going to make it into heaven. And I was like, oh, that's sad. Remember now, I'm 8, 9 years old. So, I don't know how to fix nothing, help nobody, or do none of that. I just do what my parents did, my grandma tell me to. And so, and this wasn't a one-time thought. These thoughts occurred for about 4 or 5 years. So 8, 9, 10, 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. Those thoughts occurred on my mind. And I would just think, well, why grandma don't tell them? Well, grandma must know because this keeps, I couldn't figure out why these thoughts were crossing my mind. All I knew is they wasn't going to make it into heaven. But I didn't know, anyhow. I said, oh, so the Lord said, you're going to tell them. I said, tell them what? I ain't telling them nothing. You can't tell them nothing. This is an 8-year-old child looking at the adults knowing that you can't tell them nothing. Now that's bad. So the Lord said, I said, I can't tell them. They don't listen to nobody. And then they talk about you if you try to say anything. Because I saw my big cousins. I saw how they did everybody. So I said, okay. The Lord said, when the time comes and the end is near, that's when you're going to tell them. And I said, I said, but I was having a conversation in my head, y'all, and I didn't know it. I literally thought I was just thinking thoughts, not knowing that this was God talking to me. I just didn't know. And so I said, okay, Lord. So he says, you're gonna know, because when it gets to the point where you actually tell them, they'll barely make it in. But they will make it in. And I'm going to use you to tell them. And I thought, ooh, barely make it in? Why they got to barely make it in? Can't they like get a good running start, like a good time in before they just barely make it in? Those were my thoughts at 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. I am 49 now. Okay? So, after my father passed, and I'm watching them get comfortable with this demon. I'm watching them come against the will of God and their own family, their own bloodline. I'm literally watching this go down. And I'd say maybe 8 months after my father passed, because I knew what the demon was doing. The demon was still playing games, trying to spread confusion, trying to, do things to separate my family, break my family apart, just doing little things. And I said, okay, well, I'm not the one to argue with demons or people who think they know and they don't, and people who are full of pride and arrogance. I don't do well with that. So, because I grew up in it. I grew up watching my aunts like that, my dad. So it turns me off. So I said, okay, let me at least tell, because I have family all over the country. So, and they don't know, everybody didn't come to Vegas for the funeral. I said, okay, so I said, let me just put everything out there, because the family reunion, I won't be at the family reunions. They won't see me or my kids there. Probably not my sister either or her kids. It was horrible. That's all I can tell y'all. That's all I can tell y'all. So, I said, well, let me just put this out there, because nobody's going to run my story. Nobody can run my narrative of my family, my parents, my kids, me. They can't, because they didn't grow up in my house. So I said, okay, I did a video for just my family reunion. I put it in our little family reunion feed. And I told them the whole entire story, the truth of the matter, of how I had to watch my father's widow try to do him in dirtily on the slide and camouflage it with his cancer. I told them how she was using them, how she was chanting witchcraft practices. I told everything. And then I left them with, do not ask my aunts about the history of my family. If you want a true account, come to his eldest daughter. I could tell you the details with his second wife, his third wife, his side chicks. I'm that daughter. I was with daddy when he messed with the side chicks. I was with daddy when he, I'm that child. I was the ride or die child with my daddy. So wife number 3 was on something else. And I left it at that. And then after that, a few days later, the Lord brought me back to when I was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. And he said, remember what I told you, what I showed you? He said, you just did it. I didn't even know I did it. I was like, oh my God. Because the message I left them, they could not go back to business as normal, thinking ain't nobody gonna say nothing, ain't nobody gonna do nothing. The Spirit of the Lord has truly convicted them. The Spirit of the Lord has shown them. And I had one aunt who was married to a pastor, been serving in the church. She used to be a Muslim, denounced God and became a Muslim, went back to God, and then got comfortable with a demon over her brother. I called all that out. The hypocrisy, all of that. So now they're able to see. I even gave them words of knowledge that only God knew. And I had to read them their cards. And now God is dealing with them. And they barely gonna make it in. That's what tells me that God's end is near now. It is real soon. He said they will barely make it in. That's how I know the end is near. Unfortunately. So that's what I have to say for today. Y'all be blessed. Keep seeking the Lord. So God bless y'all. I love you. Check you next time.